Today on Time About the Movies, the Farrelly brothers give you a hall pass, which essentially means that if you're married, you get 1 week from not being married, and you can go around, have sex with other women, do crazy stuff. That's what happens to Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis. Does the movie work? We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we'll also talk about Nicolas Cage and the 3D adventure Drive Angry, 3D action adventure, I should say, along with Amber Heard and William Fichtner, directed by the same guy who did My Bloody Valentine 3D. 2011 hasn't been off to the best start, so we'll see if these last two films of February 2011 can change that, here on Time About the Movies. And welcome to Time About the Movies, where we are taking a look at the two big new releases of the weekend of February 25th, 2011. Starting with our first movie here, the Farrelly brothers returning with Hall Pass, their first film since The Heartbreak Kid, which was not the big success they were hoping for. And this one, not so much. Rick and Fred, played by Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis, are two husbands who are having difficulties in their marriage. They're married to Christina Applegate and, Jason Sudeikis is married to Christina Applegate. Owen Wilson's married to Jenna Fisher, and they're given hall passes by their wives for 1 week. They're allowed to have sex with other women. They're basically allowed to be bachelors again. And you see people in that movie, in the trailer, including Richard Jenkins. You have Alexander Daddario in here, Stephen Merchant, J.B. Smoove, Larry Joe Campbell from According to Jim, Vanessa Angel. You see Joy Behar, who for some reason is in this movie. I don't know why, honestly, but yeah, this is a movie where the premise is really good, and unlike The Heartbreak Kid, which was just a movie that just didn't work because of its lazy attempts at gross-out humor, this one doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of raunchy humor. Like, it really doesn't go to that nth level that the Farrelly brothers are known to go for, and usually have done well at with, There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, those type of films. This one just doesn't feel like it's going in that same direction, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writer of this movie, Pete Jones, who did Stolen Summer, which, if you don't remember, was, if I remember correctly, I think that was the Project Greenlight movie that was one of the first ones they did. That was correct. That was the same guy who did Stolen Summer, which was the first Project Greenlight film, which wasn't that great of a movie. It was kind of like a serious drama, and definitely was not one of the better ones coming out of that Project Greenlight era. But this one in particular, the pieces are definitely there for something funny. Sometimes you get a good laugh here and there, but the jokes overall are kind of lackluster and mediocre and don't really add a whole lot to the overall enjoyment of the movie. And for the Farrelly brothers, you expect so much more from them considering what the work they've done beforehand, but I don't know. Ever since Heartbreak Kid, they have not been on the same wavelengths, but granted, it's just one movie, but still, it just feels like you expect so much more from these guys, but this one didn't feel like it was a movie that was working on their favor. It just felt like a film that was just kind of like, hey, let's try to recapture the old days with stuff like Kingpin and There's Something About Mary, and it's just not there in this one, unfortunately. It doesn't try hard enough to get the good laughs. It's not as bad as Heartbreak Kid, but it just doesn't have that spark that the Farrelly brothers were known for when they did There's Something About Mary. Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis can get a good laugh every once in a while. So does Richard Jenkins. Richard Jenkins, honestly, is probably the most fun character in the movie. He's kind of playing this guy who is trying to teach him how to get girls and all that. There's a great bit where, he's talking about, that woman's ugly, but she looks beautiful and all. But then you just like take your hands and then just take the friends out, and then you see, yeah, she's the ugly one of a hot group of people. And her face changes and all that. Like, stuff like that can be funny. But if there was more of that in the movie, I probably would have appreciated it a lot more, but as it is, not so much. Not a bad movie, but certainly very subpar compared to what the Farrelly brothers usually do here. But they would get back on track with their next movie the next year with the Three Stooges, but we'll save that for 1 year from now. But that's Hall Pass, but let's go ahead and take a look at our last one that we have here. Nicolas Cage and Amber Heard starring in the action-adventure 3D adventure Action-Adventure Drive Angry in 3D. I completely butchered that opening.
Drive Angry, shot in 3D, rated R, in Will D 3D, February 25th.
Here's another one of those movies like Hall Pass where the potential is there for something really good, but they just don't deliver on it, sadly. And from the same director who did My Bloody Valentine 3D, I expect so much more than what we got here. Nicolas Cage stars as John Milton, who's up against the clock. Jonah King, played by Bill Fichtner, is the leader of a satanic cult and has murdered Milton's daughter and kidnapped her baby. In 3 days, King and his followers will sacrifice the child at midnight. Milton picks up the trail in Oklahoma, as well as rescuing a waitress, played by Amber Heard, from her brutal two-timing fiancé. There are odd things about Milton. His driver's license is out of date, he has a very strange gun, and he's being pursued by a man in a suit who carries FBI ID and calls himself the Accountant. Piper, who lives a life on the sidelines, has to piece things together on the fly as they close in on King. I'll give it this. Compared to some of Nicolas Cage's other lackluster films, compared to stuff like Next and The Wicker Man and Knowing, and we just had Season of the Witch, this is definitely one of his better movies, but even then, it still isn't worth it in the end. I mean, the film, again, it has the same problems with Hall Pass. There's a good idea for something really good here, but it plays it way too safe. It's trying to be like another Grindhouse movie, but even the Grindhouse movies took more chances than this did. This one just doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like they have the stuff there to make this work. And it's a shame because you can see the pieces of them trying to put something together, but the jokes just don't work. The action really isn't as strong. Even the 3D exploitation stuff they throw in here isn't that great to begin with. And it's just kind of like, if you can't make a movie like this work with the 3D that you have, and this isn't one of those post-production 3D hell movies, this is a film that was shot in 3D, you have to be better than this. And sadly, this just really felt like an obligation movie. Like, you know how back in the day, they had the first 3D movie coming at you 3D, and then the people who made that movie were kind of obligated to make a second film that they weren't really game for. That's kind of how I feel like with this movie here. My Bloody Valentine 3D was a bit unexpected success, and so they basically had the same people come in and do this one, and it just wasn't there this time around. And it really, really sucks for me to say that, because there was definitely a lot of stuff in here that could have been really fun, but when I watched it finally, I was completely let down by it, and yeah, so that's all you got from me on that one. Such a disappointment. Again, another disappointing weekend of films that should have been better, but just not. So, Drive Angry 3D. So yeah, I probably should mention something to you about 2011. It's probably one of the worst movie years of all time. I mean, I did a list for an upcoming time talking about the movie's 20th anniversary special here. And yeah, 2011 definitely is on that list of some of the worst years of all time in terms of movies that I liked and didn't like. There's a lot of movies that I have not liked, and so far in these first 8 weeks of this year, it is definitely showing that 2011 is not off to the strongest start ever. But here's the good news. It will get better on the next episode. And I know that because I see the movies here, and we have some good ones here. We have the Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, Nickelodeon's only Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, Johnny Depp in Rango, directed by Gore Verbinski. We followed up with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt in The Adjustment Bureau. We have the first of many Twilight knockoffs we're going to get. Vanessa Hudgens starring in Beastly, a tweety version of Beauty and the Beast, because heaven forbid, that's what we were asking for. But you got one of the Olsen twins in there, and Neil Patrick Harris, so maybe it's got a chance. Not. We have a comedy that you can clearly tell was sitting on the show for a long, long time, and Take Me Home Tonight. And you'll see that when we take a look at that on the next episode. But we have a couple good indie movies here. We have Kevin Smith's Red State, his first horror film. And then we have Josh Radnor starring and directing in Happy, Thank You, More Please. So there is going to be at least some good movies on the next episode in the 6 that we have. So we'll take a look at them coming up on the next episode. That's tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you get updates on when new videos come out. We do post new videos here every day, and also check out our playlist, and check out the last episode we did. Whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.